Up and running, and Villa is loud.
Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with your opposition preview with a very, very special guest, Arsenal Fan TV famous and host of one of my favourite podcasts, the Football's 12th Man Show, Dan Potts. How are you doing, mate? Great to have you on the show.
Listen, the pleasure's all mine, man. Thanks for inviting me on, and cheers for jumping on the show with the boys the other night. I know it's never easy with that lot, so well done, my friend.
Yeah. Always great fun, mate. Always great fun. Well, we're going to get into what is shaping up to be a huge game on Saturday. Aston Villa versus Arsenal. 5:30 kickoff live on Sky. So we're going to delve into Dan's thoughts on Villa's season so far, Arsenal season so far, thoughts on the game coming up, and of course we will get a score prediction and maybe take a trip down memory lane and look at a couple of players who've represented both clubs and relive some fantastic memories. So before I do go, we are 15 away from 2,800. We want to hit 3K before Christmas, so you guys can help us do that. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below your thoughts on the upcoming game, score predictions, your thoughts on Arsenal season so far as well. Let's get loads in the chat and get commenting. I will try and respond to as many as I can. So yeah, let's get into it. So Dan, like I say, on the show, the 12th Man Show, you've had a lot of real complimentary things about Villa. So just talk us through your thoughts on Villa's season so far, and then I guess Unai Emery, who's represented both clubs as a manager. Your
Yeah.
thoughts on Emery?
Yeah, well, listen, Aston Villa are a massive club, and I've always thought they're one of those clubs that, if they got things right up above, then they'd be on for good things. And I think they finally look to have done that. And you say my thoughts on Aston Villa this season. My thoughts on Aston Villa are actually since Unai Emery's walked in the door, if I'm honest, which is on the back end of last season as well as this season. He just seems the perfect manager for Aston Villa. And it's a strange one for me because he was the perfect manager for Arsenal at the worst time possible, I think. And I think he's come and proved why. Since he's left the club, he's gone on to win trophies, and he's also walk into Aston Villa at a time where I think that literally everything is on sync, and I think that it's a perfect time to join Aston Villa. I think he's proved that in his style of play. I think he's attractive to watch. He's definitely connected with the fan base from what I can see. I've been to Villa Park a few times. It's one of my favourite grounds to go to. I was on holiday last year with the famous Jorginho last-minute screamer.
Oh,
And the season before that, I did go to, and I thought it was phenomenal, man. Your fan base is exceptional in terms of what the atmosphere brings to Villa Park. That's why it's always one of my favourite places to go. But I think when you look at the comparison of the same squad or similar squad to Steven Gerrard's, to then have a Unai Emery walk in, and let's be real, it might be a little bit different now because he's had a few windows. But it weren't much different when he walked in straight away. And you could just see straight away that there was a complete and utter difference in terms of the class of the man himself. Now, I don't think that he was treated very kindly at Arsenal, in my opinion. However, I understand why he was sacked, because when you're sitting 11th in the table and when you've thrown away a Europa League final, you've got to have question marks from the standards of the club. And I'm kind of one of those that believes that perhaps if he was in a place now where there's total ownership of the Cronkies, is being backed, the amount of transfer windows Mikel Arteta has been given, then maybe things would be different at Arsenal with Unai Emery. I never ever looked at Emery and thought, you're an awful manager, man. I want you out. You're dreadful. So I think what he's done is proven his ability at Villa and also over in Spain. And I'm just so look forward to watching Aston Villa under Unai Emery because I think the style of play is great. I know there's a high line. I get that. It was at Arsenal at times and he can get caught out. But I would rather watch an attractive style of football like that and know that you might be actually concede a few as long as you're winning 4-3. So for me, there's what you want at your club. I've always been a fan of the George Graham, Carlo Ancelotti, Diego Simeone. Just win me a trophy 1-0, 2-1.
yeah.
And I think, honestly, if it doesn't work with Mikel Arteta, I like a manager like that. Get me a win now manager because we've got a win now team. But with Unai Emery, he's building something, and I've been so impressed with it, man, going forward. And I honestly think, looking at the way things are and looking at the evidence of last season and this season, Champions League is at Villa, man. It's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I said on the show the other night, I said if we could get a result out of the next two, like a positive, real positive result out of the next two games, that being Man City and Arsenal, I think that challenge is on. And obviously, we got that result against City, phenomenal performance, and it kind of epitomised what Emery's been trying to do at Villa, or that kind of journey over the last year, if you like. And you mentioned kind of Steven Gerrard, and even before him, Dean Smith. Like, a lot of the players are the same players. They were just crying out for quality coaching, a game plan, and kind of helping them to develop. And one of the things as a Villa fan that's been so good to see is that you're seeing on what's translating from the training pitch onto the match arena, and it's actually paying off. I mean, the way that we kind of obliterated Man City in every possible way was just incredible to watch. And it's like that every game. There's a plan for every game. There's tactics. There's different personnel, and it's just so entertaining to see.
No, it is, man, and I think stick with him and see where he takes you. You're my favourites to win the Conference League this year, European Conference League. I think you will win that. He will get you over the line. I know he didn't with us. It's the only European final he's lost, by the way,
Mm.
is with us. Typical, but I think you're the favourites. Listen, man, I don't say this to Lawless, but if they can win it, then you can. Trust me, because you're better than them, right? So yeah, you're my tip for that, man, and. I was it was really refreshing to hear you answer the question on my show the other day. I want to win a trophy, because it bugs the hell out of me when fans throw away trophies because they want to try and get sneaking fourth for a competition that they're never going to have a chance of winning without
Yeah,
being disrespectful to Villa.
yeah,
So for me, you get Champions League football, unbelievable. Do you know what? I think you can get both. I think you can
yeah,
get top five because it's 5 positions this year. I think you can get fifth, and I think you can get that trophy as well, man. So I'm expecting a good season for Villa. I really am.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, Saturday accepted. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
onto onto Arsenal. And again, you've been, I guess, quite up and down, with your feelings about Arteta and about this
Mm.
current side. But I mean, it can't be argued with where you are at the moment, sitting top of the tree. Other teams taking points off each other below you, and just without necessarily being too spectacular. I get the feeling that Arsenal are kind of getting into a bit of a groove now, but you picked up results, and kind of moving on. And how are you feeling about that? And is that an evolution from kind of last season to this season's feeling?
Yeah, there's definitely a few things that have changed, and I think it's some risks that are paying off at the moment for Mikel Arteta. The problem is, if the risks don't pay off, he's going to be under massive pressure. Buying Kai Havertz for that amount of money, playing Thomas Partey at right back when he was fit, and having Gabriel dropped, and then of course the goalkeeper situation, sticking with Eddie and Nketiah and Reece Nelson instead of upgrading those. There's so much there that people will look at as a neutral and think, I don't think that's enough to win Arsenal a league. At the moment, we sit top of the Champions League group and top of the table, so things are rosy. We haven't played exceptionally well in most games this season, but that's because we've chosen not to. We went gung ho last season and nobody expected it. This season, people have started to respect Arsenal a bit more. If you look at every game, and you'll do it at the weekend, you'll put at least 2, maybe 3 players on both Saka and Martinelli. Because if
Hmm.
you don't, they're going to destroy your team. So we're now having to play this resolute football. We're now having to be a lot more kind of possession based and defensive minded. And the trio of Saliba, Gabriel, and Rice have been outstanding. I mean, Declan Rice, people laughed. Oh my God, that's ridiculous money. Mate, I'd pay it all over again. The kid is exceptional. I've not seen a talent like it come to the Emirates in that position since the Vieira and Gilberto Silva days. I know that we've had that position neglected for quite a few years, I would say, but he's come in and been head and shoulders above the rest. So I've been impressed by what I've seen from particular players. But last season, Rich, we were bigging up Saka, Gabriel
Yeah.
Jesus, Martinelli, Erdegaard. This year, notice we're not. We're bigging up Saliba, Rice, and Gabriel, and that says it all to me. I think the goalkeeping situation needs fixing quickly. We've seen David Raya make ridiculous mistakes and just be given the goalkeeping #1 shirt, which I think is rather odd. Kai Havertz is starting to score, but I'm not going to be one of those fans that wets me knickers about it. He's still got a long way to go. And I do think we're starting to play, particularly in the Champions League, a lot more attacking, which means that
Yeah,
we can still do it. We're just choosing to not do it so much. And I think that Arteta realised we run out of gas last year and he's starting to try and do more things in the Man City way and think, well, they don't go gung ho until February. So at the moment, we keep plodding along. And, we're starting to see Saka at his best again now. Martinelli, people are saying, oh, he's only scored 2 goals, but watch him in the games, man. He's always a threat. Gabriel Jesus, since those comments about him not being a striker, can't stop scoring. Erdegaard, the last couple of games, has started to look like the old Erdegaard. And I've spoken about the steel and our team of Rice and the guys at the back. So I'm starting to enjoy watching the Arsenal in terms of how fluid we're now becoming. The problem we've got is we are throwing goals in our net. Every single time we have given away a goal, like Luton, it's been somebody throwing it in the net, passing it to the opposition, passing it back short, making sure that we're allowing the opposition to come onto us. Why are we doing that? Iron them out and we'll be okay, because actually our defensive record's the best in the league alongside Liverpool, I believe. So if we actually sorted some of those mistakes out, we'd have a great chance. But I still not going to say we win the league. I think we're short. I still think we're short, and Man City and Liverpool back, it's going to be tough, this one, man. It
yeah,
really is. And, listen, you carry on. You'll be up there with us, mate. So it's going to be interesting this season for sure, man.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And so, how are you feeling shaping up for this game on Saturday? How do you like? Yeah, how are you feeling about it, and how do you think Arteta will approach it?
Well, listen, I never looked at Villa Park as a fixture that was going to be heavily important. I always go there and want to win, but I never thought it would be like in this position. And I've never been confident going there anyway, because you've had results against us before. It's a difficult place to go. The last team to beat you was us at home in the league. That's an incredible amount of run of games. And Unai Emery did that with us. I think he went 22 games unbeaten with Arsenal a few years ago. And he's doing the same at Villa Park with you guys. And once you get into a groove, you really do get into a groove. And I watched your game against City, and my God, mate, how the hell was that only 1-0? You absolutely battered them. It weren't
Mm,
like, oh, bloody hell, Aston Villa had done well to beat them. That was like, it was as if the roles were reversed, mate, and they were you were the champions. You were battering their goal. You had an unbelievable amount of chances. I was really impressed with John McGinn. I was really impressed with Douglas Luiz. Leon Bailey was a masterclass. I was so impressed with what I saw from Villa, and it really has made me think I do not want to go. That's probably the last place I want to go right now. Probably rather go Anfield first, believe it or not, than go to Villa Park, because we've
yeah,
got Anfield coming up as well in a couple of games. So we've got Villa away, Brighton at home, Liverpool away, West Ham at home. That is a real tough fixture, and we'll see where Arsenal are at across those games. But going into this one, how will Arteta line up? He'll be resolute again, mate. He's not going to go gung ho. He's going to make sure Saliba and Gabriel are comfortable on the ball. Declan Rice will play in that 6. I'm not sure who we're going to see in the midfield trio. If he is a little bit worried, he might play Jorginho with Rice and Erdegaard,
yeah,
but I'm not too sure how he'll feel about that. You're going to see Martinelli and Saka with Jesus for sure. Tommy Asu's out now, which is a massive shame, because I'd love to have seen him against you guys, because he's been our best fullback this year. But Zinchenko will come back in, which is probably the weak link for Arsenal if you want to go in that bracket. Great footballer on the ball, unbelievable. Defensively, though, I don't know who you're playing on the right, whether it's Dion Bailey or Diaby, but
mm,
I don't fancy either of those against Zinchenko, because they can give him a right run for his money. So, yeah, that's what I'm expecting, a really good game, and one that I think the neutral will really enjoy, man.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting you say that with regards to Diaby or Bailey, because I think every Villa fan, after kind of the Bournemouth game, Bailey started that. We're expecting maybe Diaby to start against Man City, but Bailey obviously started and had a wonderful match. And Emery had kind of said that he would make fair changes, across the week, but he didn't. He just changed one player, brought Kamara back in for Zaniolo.
On
So
the other wing, Rich.
see, he doesn't really have that. He
No,
plays kind of Kamara and Louise as kind of the two sitters, and then he has McGinn and Tielemans ahead, so like the 4-2-2, and then he has an orthodox right winger, as in Diaby or Bailey, and Watkins up top, and he just lets Digne or Moreno bomb on, and then one of those Tielemans or McGinn will join in. So he's kind of a bit of a lopsided formation, if you like. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, because does he bring Diaby in for Bailey after that game? Does he freshen it up, or does he just keep with what he's got? Because the great thing is we've got options off the bench now. We've got
Yeah,
the
it's a
likes
good
of,
option to have, isn't it?
yeah, Jacob Ramsey as well, who's getting back to fitness. Alex Moreno, if Lucadinha starts, can come on and cause problems. And then, the young kind of raw pace and power of like a John Duran. So yeah, it's both teams have real options now, and that's it shapes up to be a phenomenal game. So and I think it will shape up to be that. So it's going to be really exciting, mate. It's going to be really, really exciting. But Declan Rice, just a word on him. I mean, I don't think there's been in recent years a better transition from one club to another, and the price tag that he went for. He's just completely stepped up to the plate in terms of the stature. He's already like an Arsenal legend, within a third of a season almost.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, man. And I'm still trying to work out what it is that he can't do because they're ticking off everything that he can do. And I always use this example. If you're going to go on Football Manager or FIFA, I don't know whatever one everyone plays listening, but you look at the cards or you look at the stats of them and you look at the actual ones that matter. This guy literally has got high stats in everything in terms of his positioning, his movement, his transitional play, his interceptions, his tackling, stuff that he can do in the air, his driving forward, winning balls back, tackling. I like everything about him. And what I love about Declan Rice more than anything is how he settled in so quickly, and that shows elite mentality, man. The leadership qualities are there, the mentality is there, the passion, the drive, the desire. He's already popped up with two unbelievably important goals now in the last minute against Man United and Luton. So, and both of those winners games, not just to scrape over draw, they're
Yeah,
actually to drive us for winners games. That shows how well he's fitted in. And you look at him across as he comes across an interview, the guy is unbelievable, man. He's turned into one of my favourite players already, and he's only been here for a handful of games. So, yeah, I was really, really for that signing. I was speaking to a Man City fan of mine the other day. He's like, I wish we would have signed him. Like
yeah,
he is immense, and I look at it now and think there's not many signings that I can think of this season that will be up there with Declan Rice, because a couple of the good ones that started, they've got injured, like James Maddison, Van der Ven at Tottenham. But I don't know. I think he's the player of the season in terms of the signing of the season so far for me, man. I don't know many out there that I look at and go, oh yeah, they're leaps ahead of Declan Rice in terms of a signing. When you consider Chelsea have spent that more money on Caicedo and Enzo individually, I'd take Declan Rice over those two any day of the week, man.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Now, another player who has been tenuously linked or strongly linked, as you may suggest, to partner maybe Declan Rice in that Arsenal midfield is Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. What are your thoughts on him and the potential chance of a partnership in that Arsenal midfield? I don't want to draw the wrath of the Villa fans I hear,
Uh,
but
yeah, well, listen, it's mad in football because I have opinions and I love people who prove me wrong. Um, because it doesn't happen often. And that sounds big headed, but you kind of use the eye test and you just know. Do you know what I mean? You can see.
yeah,
And sometimes you get it wrong. And sometimes you think, blimey, where's that come from? My eyes that need go Specsavers. That was wrong. And that was how it was with Douglas Luiz. We were linked with him a couple of windows ago, and I thought, he's all right. Yeah, he might do a job at the Arsenal, but I don't think he's going to take us to a title. Um, and I started watching him as you do, because I didn't know much about Douglas Luiz. I don't watch Villa ever like you do, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I started watching Douglas Luiz and I thought, oh, do you know what? Actually, he's all right. He's a good at set pieces. He can do a bit of everything in midfield. He can drive you forward. He can get you important goals. You put him on set pieces. Yeah, he might be a good player. And then I watched him again this season. I think he's been absolutely tremendous, mate. Like ridiculously good. And some players get to that age, don't they, and just they hit it and they get to their prime and they start looking the real deal. And I think he is the real deal. I think he'd be a phenomenal signing for Arsenal, but I don't think he's going to come to Arsenal. I think he does want to come, if I'm honest. I listen to rumours and I hear the Brazilian links of Gabriel and Martinelli and Jesus, and he's forever talking to them. Whenever we play you, they just sit there for ages talking to each other after the game. And I wonder what the hell they're saying to him, really. So I think that there would be a move potential. I don't think it's happening in January, though. I think
no,
he's happy. I think
yeah,
one, I don't think Villa will sell him unless we pay like silly money. And two, I don't think he'll want to leave right now because I think he'll look at that project. He knows he's guaranteed first team football. When Partey comes back, he might not be because
mm,
Partey, Rice, and Odegaard are probably going to be the three that play when Partey's fit. So is Douglas Luiz going to leave being a first timer at Aston Villa, come to Arsenal as a bit part player, as squad player? Yeah, you might say he might go for a title with Arsenal when he won't with Villa. But let's be real, I've just mentioned I think Villa can get Champions League football and win a trophy this year. So he might want to see that through and then make a decision in the summer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my honest opinion, but I'm a massive fan of the player. I really am.
Yeah, it's interesting the kind of thought process you've gone with Douglas Luiz as a kind of watcher of him from afar, because it's a similar thing with Villa fans. I was highly critical of him. The first season he comes in, obviously he's just getting used to it and the standards of the Premier League life, as were Villa as a whole. But then after lockdown, he came back and he did really well. But then there's a couple of seasons after that, very inconsistent. But since Emery's come in, he's just taken on a new lease of life. And this season, as you say, just in every area, whether it's goal scoring, assists, tackles, controlling games, dictating games, similar to what you said about Declan Rice there, Douglas Luiz is that player for us at the moment. So yeah, absolutely, absolutely phenomenal player at the minute. So it's going to be a good battle between him and Rice on Saturday. Before I get your score prediction, Dan, I just wanted to just take a little trip down memory lane and talk a couple of players that have played for both clubs. First one is the current Aston Villa goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Obviously had quite a long time at Arsenal, but didn't quite get in the first team picture until injury to Leno, and then finished really well with Arsenal in terms of winning that FA Cup. What are your thoughts on Emi Martinez and how he kind of developed at Arsenal and what he's gone on to at the moment with Villa?
Yeah, I love him, man. I love him. I never wanted him to leave. Mikel Arteta does this with goalkeepers, and he's doing it again.
Yeah,
it's uh,
yeah,
It's mad. It really is. We had Leno in goal. Leno was great. He got injured. Martinez come in. And let's be real, nobody at the time thought, oh, brilliant. This guy's going to be unbelievable. He's going to win the World Cup with Argentina. He's going to be top. Because he wasn't doing any of that. He was playing at Reading and he was on loan at
mm,
Oxford, I think, at one stage. It was just really not happening for him. And he come on against Reading, funny enough, when we beat him 5-4 in the League Cup. And he was horrendous, mate. He was punching him in his goal. It was like a sieve in goal. Honestly, mate, everything went through him. And I thought, what is this like guy all about? And that's why he sat on the bench for so long, and we couldn't get rid of him. But I think he was a modern day goalkeeper who wasn't ready to be modern day at the time because we weren't playing modern day football when he joined Arsenal. Nobody was. It was the David De Gea style, just
yeah,
shot stop and be that. And I think he was ahead of his time. And when Aston Villa signed him, I thought it was ridiculous. I really did. I thought it was mad. Not because Aston Villa were particularly our rivals at the time, just because I think we were giving the Premier League side a top quality goalkeeper. And I think he's gone on to do better things with you. He's gone on to do well with Argentina. He's won awards. He's been probably Mr. Consistent in terms of the goalkeepers. And I think if you look at De Gea, Alisson, Ederson, and then the third best goalkeeper, people would probably say it was Emi Martinez. So I do look at it and think there's a definite opportunity there for Arsenal to have potentially missed. And we could have Emi Martinez now as the number one. But then we wouldn't have had Ramsdale. We would
yeah.
have.
Of course,
It would have
yeah,
been different completely.
yeah.
But I think he's been brilliant for Villa. A massive, massive fan of what he's done at you boys.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, he just, good keeper wins you 12, 15 points a season, as I like to say, and he's certainly improving that at the moment with some key saves. Obviously we've had other players, Callum Chambers currently,
Yeah,
Robert Pires, Martin Keown, but one, and that shirt behind you, that yellow and black one, does remind me a lot of a certain Mr. Paul Merson,
yeah.
who, yeah, was just brilliant for both teams, and yeah, just your memories of
Mm.
Mr. Merson as a player, mate, because yeah, he was fantastic for both clubs.
Yeah, one of the best I saw growing up. I was lucky. Wrighty was my hero, of course. Loved Ian Wright. Um, but the other one was Paul Merson. I grew up with those two, loving them. Rocky as well was just a little bit too young for me to remember because I was born in '87, so I kind of remember Arsenal from '91, '92 onwards when we signed Ian Wright. But Wrighty and Merson were two of my favourite. Kevin Campbell, who I've got the pleasure of speaking to on a regular basis now, was another one. And then, of course, Bergkamp. And then it went from there when Wenger joined and everybody then come in from France. But for me, I thought Paul Merson was probably one of the most underrated players, should have got more caps for England. I thought
Yeah,
he was a wand of a right foot. I've
yeah,
seen Beckham have a Beckham's got a great right foot when you think back to players, but Mercer was right up there for me and could play in a number of positions, play up top in the 10 as a 9, play either wing, play as an attacking midfielder. But he's brilliant for Villa, man. When he left Arsenal, I was a bit disappointed because Wenger came in and I understood why he left because he brought in Vieira and Pires, Petit and all them guys. And obviously we had Henry and Bergkamp, so he was never going to get in that side. But you need your squad, and I really didn't want him to go. And I remember having a bit of an attachment to Merce. And then since then, I've met him a few times as an audience with him, and then I've had a chat with him about the Arsenal. And he's just a top bloke, man. Just
Yeah,
a top bloke, you know. And I always remember I went and saw him at an audience with about 7 or 8 years ago. My mate got me some tickets to go and see him again about 3 years later. And I thought, oh, I've already kind of been there, but I'll go again. And I went there and he went, "Oh, you're right, Dan." And I thought, how the hell has he remembered me? You know, just top geezer, mate. Like top bloke. And yeah, big fan. And you know, we had Robert Pires as well, who wouldn't really do much at Villa, was brilliant
no.
for Arsenal.
He,
We've had
he
some
played
great
well.
ones.
He just couldn't stay fit, I don't think. But yeah, just you could see the ability. Yeah,
Unbelievable footballer, mate. But yeah, Merce was a big favourite of mine and one that people forget about now, if I'm honest, because that era that he was in was overclassed by some of the top talents at the club that go down in history of Arsenal, you
yeah,
know. But he's one that I'll always remember. 99 goals for Arsenal as well. I always remember he could not quite get to 100, but a top player, man. Real
yeah.
legend.
Yeah, well, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments about some of those players we've chatted about and any others that have represented both clubs that we haven't commented on. Dan, I'm going to trouble you for your prediction in a second, but thank you so much for coming on as well. Yeah, what are your thoughts for this game on Saturday? What do you think the score is going to be?
Yeah, I hate doing predictions, man. I really hate it. I hate doing predictions on Arsenal. I don't bet on Arsenal. I'm incredibly superstitious. I'm one of these guys that goes and puts the football acca on and never includes Arsenal. Listen, I think this is going to be incredibly hard, and I don't think we're going to win. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be one that we will look at a match of the day and look forward to. And the neutrals will love watching it, man. So I'm going to go 2-2.
Yeah, I was gonna hedge my bets and go for a draw as well, but I think I'm gonna stick my neck out. I think I'm gonna stick my neck out and say 2-1 Villa. But yeah, another one for the ages. I think it's gonna be a phenomenal atmosphere again at Villa Park from both sets of supporters, and yeah, it's one that if Villa can get the win, they go obviously a point behind. If you guys get the win, depending on other results, you can continue that kind of gap at the top. So it's a real big game for both teams and one to really look forward to. So yes, fantastic stuff. Guys, get your thoughts in the comments, your score predictions. Hit that like button. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, and help us on the road to 3K. Dan, once again, mate, thank you so much for your time. It is much appreciated. If anyone hasn't seen, I know there's a lot of Villa fans that do watch your show, but you just give a quick plug to what you do, mate. As I say, it's one of my favourite podcasts out there.
Cheers, man. Well, listen, love for the love, and thanks for having me on. Make sure you do us a favor and like and subscribe to this one, first of all, people. And if you do want to come follow myself, then my Twitter handle's here at DanArsenal87. But the podcast I run, I'm obviously on AFTV and with Lee Judges quite a bit on his channel. But Football's 12th Man, come on, give us a follow. Rich will be on there. You'll see Billy, who I'm sure many of you know, Villa fan, represents Villa quite a lot on that show as well. We do all sorts of shows for all Premier League debates, and there's great panels, man. It's lit shows and fun, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So please do come over. Football's 12th Man podcast. Thank you, Rich. Top man.
No problem at all. Well, guys, thank you so much. We are buzzing for the game on Saturday. There's be plenty more content to come. Instant match reaction. We've got the full match preview with the lads tonight at 9 p.m. And then yeah, loads more content to come. So make sure you get your notifications on and stick with the channel. Dan, once again, thank you so much, mate. Thank you everyone for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.